Hi, this is Grandma Kim Shanks here. Today I'm going to be reading a very old book which was given to me in 1969. I was 1 year old. And the book is called Scuttle the Stowaway Mouse. It's by Jean and Nancy Soule, and pictures are by Barbara Remington. Scuttle the Stowaway Mouse. Down by the sea, where the great ships sail, lived Scuttle, a mouse with a long curly tail. He loved the sand, the surf, and the foam, but he wished that he had a permanent home in the side of the harbor where tall-masted ships sailed in and out on adventurous trips. Now Scuttle looked and looked for a house, for he wanted to be a home-owning mouse. So he peeked in barrels, in kegs and crates, in boxes belonging to captains and mates. But each time he hung up his sailor's hat, he'd be chased from the place by a harbor rat. Then Scuttle would hide by a barrel of fish, and in his mouse heart he would secretly wish that he had the courage to sign on a ship, a vessel off on a round-the-world trip. But frankly, you see, if the truth were known, though Scuttle dreamed of a ship of his own, he was really afraid of a boat with sails, of rolling breakers and gusty gales, of cargoes tossed on the churning seas, for when he pictured such scenes as these, his tummy felt queer and his head spun around, and Scuttle was glad he was safe on the ground. Queer is a word that was used back in the old days. It just meant that you felt strange, that's all. It doesn't have any meaning that it does today. Okay, there he is by the barrel of fish. He's getting ready to go on a voyage. Now once when he thought he had found a place under a wharf, he came face to face with a roving band of big harbor rats in ragged trousers and battered hats. He's got his little home there made of shells, and here come the harbor rats. "Avast," they cried, "be off, you scum! We rule this harbor, so don't you come snooping around if you value your life." Poor Scuttle shook as they held a knife right under his twittering, jittering nose. He turned and ran till his small mouse toes were weary and sore. Then he came at last to a huge sailing ship with a tall, tall mast. The rats were close behind him now, so he took one look at the vessel's prow, forgot his fears, and dashed up the plank, while the rats all snarled at him from the bank. The captain shouted, "Ahoy, heave ho! Unfurl the sails, to sea we go!" Scuttle scooted behind a crate. Safely hidden, he knew he should wait till the ship was sailing with the tide. Then stealthily Scuttle peeked out and spied some sailors at work on the rolling deck in gay-colored suits with scarves at the neck. Again, gay does not mean what it means today. It means happy. Gay means happy. Their captain was dressed in velvet and lace, and over one eye on his deep-scarred face he wore a patch that made him look quite grim, and his feathered hat had a turned-up brim. From his hiding place the mouse could hear what the captain said, for he stood quite near. "At dawn we attack a ship," he said. "The vessel sails not far ahead. Ho, ho, if only her captain and crew knew her fate, as we pirates do." "Aye, aye," laughed a wicked-looking mate, "the skull and crossbones will seal their fate." "Shiver my timbers," poor Scuttle said, "how I wish I were back on the shore instead. I've heard bloody tales of pirates at sea who rob and plunder. That's not for me." dark the stowaway crept to the hold of the pirate ship. It was filled with gold. There were chests of coins and kegs of wine and casks with jewels of rich design. They've already robbed 100 men, thought the dazzled mouse, and they'll do it again. How right he was at the break of day. Scuttle heard cannons booming away. There were sounds of fighting above him on deck, and then came a crash. And a terrible wreck. Water poured in through the leaky side. "Oh, this is the end of my first ship ride," cried Scuttle, trying his best to be brave, as he tossed and turned with each rolling wave. "This is the end of my life at sea, and it may even be the end of me." Scuttle thought fast. He must climb up high, for the hold would be waterlogged by and by. So jumping from box to crate to bale, he stayed quite dry, except for his tail. As he perched on top of a wooden keg, something thumped him hard on the leg. A shower of coins like little gold moons came tumbling down. They were Spanish doubloons. He held out his paws, and what do you think? He caught 5 gold pieces, quick as a wink. His pockets were small, so Scuttle the mouse tucked 2 more in the sleeve of his blouse. He scooped up some smaller coins in his hat. "I'll be rich," he thought, "just think of that. But first I must get off this pirate ship, for I'm sure it's made its very last trip." They look to be in trouble now. They're going over. Scuttle found a rope and began to pull, but oh, it was hard with his pockets so full. Slowly he climbed up, paw over paw, till he reached the deck, and there he saw those bloody pirates with swords and knives, yelling and fighting for their lives. In the midst of the battle he was so small that nobody noticed the mouse at all. Quickly Scuttle hurried around, till over the railing he looked and found the captain's hat with a turned-up brim, a perfect boat for a mouse like him. He hopped to the rail and jumped overboard, carefully holding his golden hoard, wrapped in a pirate's bandana and tied to make it safe for the long sea ride. Scuttle settled himself in the seaworthy hat, with its sail like feather, long and fat. The wind took him over the crest of the wave, till suddenly Scuttle felt very brave. He'd saved himself from a pirate ship, and soon, with luck, his hat-boat trip would bring him back to his harbor once more, where he could safely scuttle ashore. His luck was good, and by dark that night a familiar harbor came into sight. "I'm home," he cried, "and after I land, I won't be chased by that ruffian band. For now I have money to buy a small place of my own," he said, with a smile on his face. So Scuttle bought a new suit of clothes and fine leather boots to cover his toes. With a sword at his hip and a ring in his ear, he was Captain Scuttle, and when he'd appear, people would shout and clap their hands. "That's the mouse who escaped the pirate bands." Now the mayor was so impressed by the mouse that he gave him a 2-story rat-proof house. Scuttle bought a ship with the rest of his gold, spanking new from crow's nest to hold. The Jolly Roger his ship was called, but instead of pirate treasure, it hauled cargoes of happy vacationing mice. No more pirates. Now they're on a mouse vacation. The end. Scuttle, the stowaway mouse.